You showed a tremendous amount of loyalty to Texas A&M in the offseason. From what I understand, the NFL comes calling, Auburn comes calling. Why did you show that?
You know, it's um, there's a reason I came here, and you know, I think that I left Purdue, I left my alma mater to come here the first time,
Right.
which should say a lot about what I think about Texas A&M. I think we had a good experience. It didn't end up the way I wanted it to end up, um, but our family and my wife and family had a great experience here. And you know, I'm amazed in 1 year, you know, how people want to flip the situation that we have here. You know, a year ago, um, we were a team that moved into a league that we didn't know anything about, toughest league in the country, with a bunch of uh, coaches from smaller schools, with a gimmick offense, and in a year later, you know, and in recruiting, you know, and they're telling guys that, you know, that we're going to get killed. And a year later, um, the recruiting pitch out there now against us is you can't play there. They've got they've got good players, and their head coach is going to the NFL. So I think it's funny either way.
Right. Right.
You know, so you know, it's always going to be that way. You know, if you have success, um, just like the people on our staff, you know, we in 5 years of being a head coach, we've got 4 guys that become head coaches.
Right.
You know, if you had Dana, Tony Levine, Cliff, Brian Polian, and a number of guys that become coordinators, then that's what you want to surround
Right.
yourself with. If when you're successful, that's going to happen. So, you know, we lose 3 guys last year, and that tells you that we're doing things the right way, and hopefully that will continue. And just like you said, you know, those discussions I hope come up all the time, because they only talk about coaches 2 ways. They
Yeah.
talk about fired yet or this is going on. So as long as those discussions keep going
Right.
on, then we're doing something right.
So what do you say when your name keeps coming up on the
I
NFL
don't have
front?
to
As
say anything.
right.
I
Yeah.
mean, everybody knows what I do. I've never coached in the NFL.
Right.
I've had plenty of opportunities to do
Yeah.
that as an assistant coach, and even as a head coach. But there's a reason I coach college football, and you know we got a lot of work to do here. We're still playing catch up. You know, we finished third. We in the West. You know, we by no means have we arrived or are we on par with everybody yet. So we got a lot of work to do. You know, eh, maybe later. You know, sometime later, but it won't be any soon.
Yeah.
And you know, my family likes living here,
Right.
and I like living here, and um, heck, we just got here.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
so that's
Yeah.
why I don't even. If people ask me to respond to it, I say, "You got to be kidding," you
Yeah.
know, because I remember what was being said this time a year ago.
Right.
So, you know, I didn't really respond to that last year. There's
Yeah.
no reason for me to respond to this
Seems
now.
like college Right. coaches kind of consider that. Well, it's not the favorite thing to do in the world, but it's part of it, and obviously it's their lifeblood. But you have a real passion for it,
Well, if you don't
don't you?
do it, you won't be coaching very long
Yeah.
because um, I've got to say, and I tell guys all the time, coaching matters, but players make a difference.
Right.
And you know, in order to have a really, really strong program, you've got to have both. And there's a lot of really good coaches out there out of work right now that didn't have players. And once you get to a certain level, and you can hang in there, but to really be at an elite level,
Hmm.
um, you've got to have both, and to remain there. And so that's why recruiting is such a big deal around here.
Along the Father's Day theme, how important is it for you to have a staff full of fathers?
Hmm.
for you to make sure these guys aren't just engulfed in football and that they spend time
really,
with their
really
families?
important. You know, these guys have been. What I don't want them to be is, and what I didn't want to be, and what I try not to be is a dad to everybody else's child but mine.
Right.
And I've watched coaches do that. And I've watched them, because it's hard to be a parent. And you know what I'm very sensitive to that. You know, having 4 kids, and them being involved and being around. And, you know, you'll go out there today with all these camps going on, and you know our kids are running around all over the place, either in the camp or up here, and that's the way it should be. You know, this is not. I tell people all the time, you know, we're coaching football. We're not curing cancer or going to the moon. You know, let's not make it more than what it is. There's a lot more important things out there than coaching football. And what you don't want to do is miss out on the lives of the people that are closest to you. And it can happen pretty easily in this business, just because of the time, because of recruiting, because of the travel, because of the expectations, and you know, it can be difficult, and some guys handle it different ways. But I think we give guys the opportunity to try to create an environment that is both professional, but also sensitive to families and spouses, and making all the families be important and feel a part of this, and not just, you know, it's not just coach, it's dad too.
If I recall, you met Charlene back in Minnesota. How did y'all meet?
Oh, we met. We were friends first, and you know, just we had become friends, and through other friends, and just kind of started going. It's kind of different. Just kind of, hey, you know, how you doing, and then just start dating, going out, and then things just kind of escalated from there.
The rest is history.
Yeah, and I think it's cool when you start off as friends.
Right.
You know, and that's why, you know, for what I do, and what she does with 4 children and the travel and everything else, it's a very, very difficult job, and dealing with things that, you know, just like you said, she's got to deal with what's true and what's not true, and what's said and what's not said, and handle that, whether it's said directly to her or people ask, and so that's a difficult situation, you know, and you know, there's very few jobs out there that they post a score and on Sunday. And I had a buddy of mine who's a lawyer, and I said, hey, listen, what if every week they put your name in the paper and gave how many cases you won and lost this week? And then it was a guy like me, and I wrote what you should have done. Right. He goes, I never thought about it that way.
Right.
He goes, I said, well, everybody thinks they can do my job.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you should have gone to law school then.
Right.
But that's probably the difference.